because I'm guilty of it as well. I think it's because we default back to how we were raised. We default to what we see everyone else around us doing and being. We default to what we see on TV. We default to so many different things when we forget the fact that in most cases we haven't been taught or trained or coached or mentored in the space that shows what it looks like. Hey everybody, Mike Baltazar here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this episode that we're talking about time being more valuable than money. And I know we've heard this so many times in so many different ways from so many different people. And if we have, then why are most of us not living it? We'll let that sink in for a little bit because it's the truth. And I think it's because I'm guilty of it as well. I think it's because we default back to how we were raised. We default to what we see everyone else around us doing and being. We default to what we see on TV. We default to so many different things when we forget the fact that in most cases we haven't been taught or trained or coached or mentored in the space that shows what it looks like, what it feels like. And even though mathematically or academically, even though we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that, yes, you're right, time is worth way more than money, we don't know how to implement that. And so that's my challenge for you this year and in this season, whatever you're in. And I know that we all have various seasons. It was just a few years ago where I was in a season of divorce, and regardless of all of my many, many successes throughout my life, that was something that I could have never prepared for. And so I know that we're all in different seasons, and this means a lot of different things to different people, but because of the different times that they're in. And so tons of grace, tons of space to each and every one of you in that. But again, the challenge just circles back to this. How are you going to implement it? How are you going to learn? How are you going to be coached in this space? And I'm gonna give you a secret. Even though you can hire a coach, and I'm a huge advocate for hiring coaches, I have some amazing coaches and counselors in my life, mentors, people that I surround myself with. But your number one coach, your number one fan, your number one accountability partner is the person you see every morning in the mirror, every day in the mirror. After you go to the bathroom and you look in the mirror to wash your hands, that's the person. That's who is going to help you think outside the box, create a new baseline for yourself. And it's going to be tricky because, number one, we're going to want to default to the things I listed earlier. We're going to want to do what's comfortable. And even though it's not easier, we're going to want to default to things that are more comfortable. So how do we do this? What's step number one? I'm going to give you something super simple. And I speak from experience with this. I love doing this. Actually, I hate it sometimes, but in the long run, it's amazing. And that's this. Just sit down and write down your thoughts. Write down what's important to you. Be honest with yourself. Tell yourself the things that disappoint you, the things you wish you did better when it comes to time and where you spend your time. When it comes to being with those that you love and care the most for. How are you showing up for them? And again, it's going to look so different for so many people. And I think that's another thing that's super confusing is that, when we see social media posts, when we hear podcasts, when we see videos, when we see movies, when we read books, we're getting it from really valuable information, but from the perspective of one person that lived their life, not yours. Live their life, not some of the people that you surround yourself with the most. So it gets a little confusing. And I think that's why you have to rely more on that person in the mirror than anyone else. And then how you talk to yourself and have a reference point for yourself, stuff you can hold yourself accountable to, is by writing it down. And you don't have to call it journaling. I know a lot of people do. I don't like to call it journaling. Journaling seems like a job. It seems like a task. It seems like something that I have to do. I don't want to have that feeling of having to do anything. I want to do the things that are going to better serve myself, my family, those I care for the most. The things that are the most fun. And guess what's fun? Growth and enlightenment. Being able to see things for what they really are, to see yourself for who you really are, to be able to break through barriers that you didn't even know existed, and to start experiencing life in a whole different way. That's fun. That's fun. I was just talking with my son Malachi yesterday about soccer. He just got promoted to a club team, and it's not easy right now for him. And even though he loves to play soccer, he's really shocked as to how much work goes into playing club ball. Even though his sister and I told him very, very thoroughly exactly what you're signing up for when you decide to go club. And so what I was telling him is, if you can press through this hard season, this hard part, that isn't always fun, and then you get to the level where you're competing a lot more at this level, it becomes really, really fun. He likes to play Fortnite. And I said, here's the thing. And he's 10 years old. I said, here's the thing. Imagine if you were playing Fortnite as a 10-year-old and you're playing a bunch of 5 and 6-year-olds and you're kicking their butt all day long. Are you going around and giving high fives to everybody saying, hey, I just kicked the crap out of a lot of 5 and 6-year-olds on Fortnite? Like, yeah, I'm the man. He started laughing. He's like, no. I said, when you play Fortnite, like, who are you playing against? He's playing against adults. He's playing against teenagers. He's 10 years old. I said, it's not easy, is it? But you keep playing. You try to do better today than you did yesterday. You're a lot better right now than you were a few months ago, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, that's where you're at right now with club ball. You just got your first controller. You're just starting brand new territory. The other thing I shared with Malachi as I was wrapping up my very, very brief talk with him, because I don't like to get long-winded, I said, son, you don't know this, but I'm learning from you right now. There's some things in my profession that are new to me. And because they're new to me, I don't really want to do them. I want to do the stuff that I've always done, the things I've always been good at. And he just kind of looked at me. And he says, you're learning from me. I said, yeah, I'm learning from you. I said, I learned so much from you. I said, you can do whatever you want to do, but just remember where you want to be a year from now, 2 years from now. The decisions you make today have an impact on your tomorrow, and your tomorrow, the next day, the next, but it starts right now. It starts today. So Malachi, this is me talking about, so I said, Malachi, think about where you want to be in a year. When you're 11, where do you want to be? Because that's going to be the road you're taking to being 12. And that's going to be the road that you're taking to being 13. And that's my message to each and every one of you, is that where are you spending your time? How are you spending your time? do we feel obligated to this life that we've created? And maybe it's not really chasing money. Maybe it's just chasing a goal that you established many, many moons ago. And maybe you've gone through a lot of massive changes in your world over the last however many years since you've stepped into this place that you spend your time. And it's not always work related. It could be hobby related. It could be relationship related. It could be so many different things, but where are you spending your precious time? And for me, that's something that I was able to spend at least 2 years on, a little bit more, but at least 2 years before I could really, really figure it out. And I got a lot of help from the man in the mirror. I got a lot of help from the good man above. And I got a lot of help from the people that I was surrounding myself with. And it wasn't always asking them questions about my situation. Sometimes it was just hearing their stories. There's some phenomenal organizations out there for everybody. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be poor. You don't have to be hurt. You don't have to be fixed. It doesn't matter. There's some phenomenal organizations out there that I've utilized for years that allow for you to come in, take off your mask, get vulnerable, and get down into the nitty-gritty of what's inside. It's a beautiful thing once you find out what's really in there. It's kind of scary. There's some stuff that should have been swept out many, many years ago. We know what happens to things that get swept under the rug for too long. It gets pretty yucky under there. It's a lot of buildup over the years. Pretty toxic stuff. But guess what? All of it could be wiped clean. And so as you venture into your next world, into your next day, into your next everything, I just want you just to use this as one of the pillars, one of the questions that you ask yourself each and every day, or each and every time you sit down to relax and have a sip of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever it is. Ask yourself this: how am I spending my time today? How did I spend my time yesterday? Am I okay with that? Are the people that I cared the most with, are they okay with that? I think you'd be surprised by some of those answers. And again, this isn't to make you feel bad. This has nothing to do with shame and blame. This has everything to do with being more intentional about all the gifts that have been given to us. So how about that? Have a fantastic day. I'm praying for you. I love you. I thank you for staying tuned for all of this. So much more to come. And have a fantastic day. God bless.